Hi, I'm Mike from Quantum RLV. Today I'm standing in the kitchen with a number of devices that might be able to help you with your daily tasks. There's lots of different types of devices available, from large magnifying devices, optical magnifying, through lamps, through handheld magnifiers. We have electronic magnification devices now that are available. And we even have little devices that can read text out to us aloud. So I thought we'd have a play with them, and that way you can have a comparison. Okay, I thought we might start by having a look at how we might go about finding out the ingredients of an item. There's many different options, so we'll start with our lamp and have a look at that. We're turning the lamp on with the light behind it. The ingredients are this section here, and I know it's quite small on the screen, so let's have a look how that might compare. And you can see there's a little bit of reflection there, and we just move it around to be able to see that. The magnification level on this it's about 1.75 times, so it's a great entry level magnification, but the actual text itself is just a little bit bigger. Let's have a little play with something like the handheld version. Handheld version has a light on the back also, and similar idea, but we have to consider how we focus. And so if I've got movement, as you can see here, I've got a bit of movement there, so it might be a bit hard to follow it. Focusing is important, of course. Okay. Let's try the electronic version. So this is our Clover 6. So it's got a little camera on the back and a lighting system on the back too, so I can place it in front of it. You can see straight away we get quite a good image on there. And of course you can make it as big as you like by pressing your buttons. So you get quite a good image there. And the stabilization of the image seems to correct all my movements, so that helps. And finally, if we move this out of the way, I might just have a look at our big machine here and see what it does on that one. So of course our big machine just is amazing. It can pop it there. There's an adjustment on the top of it, so I can make things bigger and smaller, so I can really zoom in on it to see what it's saying. There is, within the electronic devices, also the ability to change the contrast. So contrast changes colours. There's a lot of different options there. Some will be better than others for some eyes, so it just depends on your situation. And we'll also try it with the devices that can read to us. So this is the Orcam Read. It's the device with the camera on the front and a little laser pointer. You can probably see, if I do that, you might see a little laser pointer. So I just point that towards the text that I want read out to me. So in this case, I just point it to this section here,
made in Australia from
and it starts to
Australian ingredients.
read out the ingredients to me. And I can do the same with our other little one, which is the Orcam My Eye 2 Pro. So this is the one that attaches to the side of my glasses here, and it has the ability to recognize my finger. So what I can do is I can, by the same thing again, I can point towards the text, takes the photograph of it, and then it starts to read it out to me, and I can stop it. This one has the ability to read barcodes too, so any barcode on the product, I can show it, and it can read that also when I hold it in front of it, which is really quite handy when we sometimes have fonts that are not normal, and getting technology to read unusual fonts can be quite tricky. So the Orcam certainly does help for that sort of thing. Some of the common issues that we do find with all of these sorts of things is shiny surfaces. We've got something here that with lighting on it can sometimes produce a shiny surface, and we've got to be a little bit mindful of positioning and how that might affect things as we're doing it. So often there's a little bit of a skill required with all of these devices. It doesn't matter which one that I play with. It does take a little bit of adjustment to be able to find the sweet spot for it. And you know, often things like this are great for little spot reading, but if I was to read a menu, for instance, or recipe with something like this, it sometimes might be a bit hard to track it. So we'll get out a recipe and we'll have a play and see how they compare for that too. I think that's important. Okay, so we've got our recipe book with our recipe in there, so let's see how the different devices compare for this. And we might start with, of course, the simple one, which is straightforward there. Again, we have to be mindful of how our movement is and our focusing. There are issues around the focus there, and of course as I pull it out you can see it gets some distortions on the edge as we move around, and the amount of text that we see at any one time with higher magnification of course is less. Our little Clover 6 device with the handle that does fold out. Nice and simple to use. And the beauty with the electronic ones is that they do have that mode where we can change the contrast. And which for some people can be quite helpful. So that gives you a bit of an idea how that might work. This one we can actually sit it down on there as well. So hopefully you can see that. And something that is possible with this one is that with the text that's on the screen, I can take a photograph of that text, which remains on the screen then, and I can zoom in on it and move around on the screen. That can be quite handy to be able to do that. So it's a clever little thing, and I can release that. Let's have a little look at how it compares on the big screen now. So you can see the magnification level is massive with this thing, so there's no visual fatigue at all. The Digimax has the remote control, which is simple to use buttons on it, making things bigger and smaller. The ability to change to all those colours like we've seen previously. And as I mentioned before, some are going to be easier for some people than others. And that's the beauty with these things. There's no rules around it. We can set it up to meet your needs. One of the things that I think is worth noting with the Digimax, not only is it a great device for being able to do this magnification at a larger level, and I'm just going to move the camera just so that you can see something. This camera that's on it is actually a camera that I can move off into the distance, which does mean that I can show, you can possibly see there that I can see things off into the distance. which can be handy, you know, if I wanted to see a clock across the other side of the room or anything like that. So it's quite a handy thing, and it's easy to flip it back down and turn it back into a near device for my near tasks. And it's got the built-in lighting, of course, too, which is quite important. Let's have a go at using the all-cam devices on our cooking here.
20-odd lean pork minced 2009, peeled green prawns, chopped 1 egg 9, lightly beaten 1 garlic clove, crushed 1/4 cup, 16 oyster sauce, 16 eggs, BCM square Wonton wrappers, C note.
Okay, and so I've paused it there, which is handy, you know, if I'm up to this section and I just want to do my bit and come back, okay, what's next? And I can continue on. So nice and easy to do.
Cut into 3.
Press it to stop it. I think it's worth having a little play of the Allcam My i2 Pro also. It has the touch panel on the side there, and you'll probably notice if I give it a little wake up just to show you. It might actually recognise me in the camera. So it's looking at the numbers that's on the camera itself. But we have a little go at this one also. So that way, what I've done there is that I actually pointed to where I wanted it to read from, and I could actually take a photograph of the entire section there and start from the beginning to the end if I wanted to, just by simply tapping the device on the side, and that's what takes a photograph. So I could hold it in front of me like that, tap the side of it, and it actually read the little overlay there. So that's something that's worth noting too, that with these sorts of devices is that they will read the text within the view of it. So with me holding the book like this, you could see this page over there. So sometimes we've got to change our technique a little bit to make it easier, but this certainly makes a big difference in the kitchen. So let's go and have a little look in the pantry and see how we can play there. Okay, let's have a look in the pantry and see how we can get around finding things in the pantry. I guess you could imagine that it would be quite difficult to be able to use something like the handheld magnifier, because I've got to get within a working distance of it. So to be able to look at something from back here is virtually impossible, and I'd have to get in close or pull the items out, which is fine. But if I'm searching for something that could be hidden in there, and you can see mine's quite full, so to be able to find something could be quite tricky, and that's where the portable ones like this with a distance camera built into it can certainly help. So this Clover 6 device has the handle that indicates to the device whether I want it in the normal reading mode or I want it in a distance mode. When it's in its distance mode, I can use it like that, or I can fold out the handle like that and hold it. And it's possible for me to be from a distance away from it and be able to have a look inside there and search around from back here. Instead of getting my head into the cupboard and looking around, I can actually view things around using the device. And of course, if I wanted to, I could do a general one from back here, and I could save it on the screen, and then I can zoom in and move around, and that could give me a good overview of what's in there. A nice tool to have, and of course I can release it again. Now, I guess also the other thing that we could use is our wall cam, where you can probably see if I point it on the cupboard here, there's the red dot. So it's possible for me to, whatever items I'm looking at, point to it. And then it can read the information to me. But again, I've got to be able to point to it. Or if I use the yaw cam that's on the side of my glasses now, it certainly wouldn't be able to give me an overview of the items that's there, but each individual item I could certainly get hold of the item itself. In this case, I could use the barcode on it, and it can read out what it is to me. So, nice handy thing to do. Next, I think we should have a look at is perhaps having a look in the fridge, and I guess maybe the fridge is very similar to the pantry idea, where we need that general overview to be able to find things, and certainly I think this little device is handy for that, because we can zoom in, we can use the distance aspect of it, and there realistically isn't anything like this else on the market that can zoom in on something from a distance. That's the beauty of the Clover 6. So I think this is a great little all-round device for spot reading in the kitchen. If you're going to read larger, bulkier amounts of text, that's where the bigger devices are certainly superior. And of course, with the smaller text, you really do need to have the ability to enlarge things in a larger scale, and that's where the large screens make a massive difference. Particularly as you find if your vision is at a level where it really does need it. So we might have a look at how we might use some of the magnification to help you with preparing your food. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a little look at how some of these devices can help us with our cutting up, I guess. Now, one thing I should say, this is not a cooking show. I'm not here to show you how to cut things, and of course be careful with everything. One of the things with magnification and any movement that you do under magnification is that the magnification of your movement is also a part of it. So judging distances and things like that can be an issue, and it's important to take things nice and slow. So that being said, disclaimer done, let's have a little look. So let's start with our basic little magnifying device. If I pop that in front, it'll give you a bit of an idea. I'll line it up there. With a piece of tomato. So that can certainly help you to get a bit of an idea of whether your tomato's going off or anything like that. And to work underneath that, you've got to be mindful of the imaging that you're getting is not necessarily a 3D image, so judging distances can be a bit of an issue for you. And to be able to work underneath that, how your fingers might get in the way, can be a bit of a challenge. And that goes with all magnification. So, but you can see how that'll give you a bit more of an overview. It's a larger lens versus, you know, if I use something like this, I've got the challenge around how am I going to hold this in front of it. Not that I would do it that way. Impossible with really high magnification. And when I say really high magnification, you know, anything really four times or more is a bit of an issue. And even using something like the electronic version that we've got here would be a bit of a challenge to be able, because it doesn't allow me to do it hands-free. So a little lamp like this is great for this sort of thing, providing that I get over the top of it and I actually focus it. And one of the things that we do find, we get a doubling of the effect of it if the lens itself is too far away from my work. So I've got to get it within the right range, and then I can work underneath it and I can see what I'm cutting. If we did a comparison using our electronic magnifier here, I'll just turn the light on. Certainly a substantially bigger work area, and I can see my fingers here and how I might be able to cut across using that. So there's challenges around using magnification, and it's doable. A lot of people do it every day. I guess a lot of people do it through not using any of their magnification also. But I think handling food, it's important to ensure that the food itself hasn't gone off, and that's a challenge to be able to see that. And these sorts of items can certainly help to be able to identify things like that. So I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the options available for helping in the kitchen. There's challenges out there, and some of these items for some people are going to be fantastic and for others not so good. But certainly if you've got any questions around it, please contact us. We're only happy to help out and give you a bit of guidance if needed. So thanks again for watching. Bye now.